Hey, how are you? I am fine, dear. What about you? Same here. Which questions are we going to discuss in today's group study? Today let's discuss 4 5-mark questions from 2012 Physiology question paper. Okay, that is also a nice idea. Thus we covered half of Physiology 2012 question paper. Right.
Hey guys, happy to see you all again. What's the plan today?
Today we can discuss the last 4 5-mark questions from 2012 Physiology question paper.
Okay, shall we begin? Please read the question.
The first question is about visual pathway.
The visual pathway refers to the anatomical structure response for the conversion of light energy into electrical action potential that can be interpreted by the brain.
From where does the visual pathway begins?
Visual pathway begins at the retina and terminate at the primary visual cortex.
What are the steps in the visual pathway?
The visual pathway consists of the retina, optic nerve, optic chiasma, optic tract, lateral geniculate bodies, optic radiations and visual cortex. The optic nerve make exit from the eye. Fibers of each optic nerve partially decreases at optic chiasma. Fibers from nasal half of each retina cross to the opposite side. But those from the temporal half do not cross. After decussation that is formed called optic tract.
Each optic tract contain fibers from the nasal half of the opposite side and fibers from the temporal half of the same side. Majority of the fibers from the optic tract terminate in lateral geniculate body.
Some of the fibers from optic tract do not terminate in lateral geniculate body, but pass through it and terminate in centers like superior colliculus, protectal nucleus and supraoptic nucleus of hypothalamus.
From lateral geniculate body, further orders neurons arises and proceed as geniculocalcarine fibers, also called as optic radiation.
Where does this optic radiation ends? Optic radiation ends at the visual cortex, that is occipital cortex area 17, area 18 and area 19.
What are the functions of these areas?
Area 17 is required for perceiving the image, whereas area 18 and area 19 are required for interpretation of images.
Okay. We have completed one question. The second question is micturition reflex. Micturition is a reflex action in which the urine is void from the urinary bladder.
This reflex is elicited by the stimulation of stretch receptors situated in the wall of urinary bladder and urethra. About 300 to 400 liter of urine is collected in bladder. The intravesical pressure increases and it results in stretching of wall of the bladder. This stimulate the stretch receptors and generation of sensory impulse.
Can anyone explain the pathway of micturition reflex?
Sure. Filling of urinary bladder, stimulation of stretch receptors, afferent impulse passes through pelvic nerve, it reaches the sacral segment of spinal cord, then efferent impulse passes through pelvic nerve, contraction of detrusor muscle and relaxation of intersphincter. Flow of urine into urethra and stimulation of stretch receptors. Afferent impulses passes through pelvic nerves, relaxation of the external sphincter and finally voiding of urine. Ooh, great. We have completed 2 questions. Now let's discuss the third question. The question is lung volume and capacity.
The static lung volume is the amount of air breathed by an individual. It is of 4 types. They are tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume and residual volume. What is tidal volume?
Tidal volume is the amount of air breathed in and out of the lungs in a single normal quiet respiration. Tidal volume signifies the normal depth of the breathing. Normal values of tidal volume is 500 milliliters, that is 0.5 liter.
What is inspiratory reserve volume?
Inspiratory reserve volume is the additional amount of air that can be inspired forcefully after the end of normal inspiration. Normal value is 3,300 milliliter or 3.3 liter.
Okay. Now, what is expiratory reserve volume?
Expiratory reserve volume is the amount of air expired out forcefully after normal expiration. Normal value is 1000 milliliter, that is 1 liter.
What is residual volume?
Residual volume is the amount of air remaining in the lungs even after a forced respiration. Normally, lung cannot be emptied even after a forced respiration. The normal value is 1200 milliliter or 1.2 liter. Okay, now what is lung capacity?
Lung capacity is the volume of air in the lungs upon the maximum effort of inspiration. Normal value is 6 liter or 6000 milliliter. Lung capacity is of 4 type. Ooh, what are the types of lung capacity?
They are inspiratory capacity, vital capacity, functional residual capacity and total lung capacity. What is inspiratory capacity?
Inspiratory capacity is the volume of air inspired after normal expiration. It includes tidal volume and inspiratory reserve volume. That is IC equals TV plus IRV, that is 500 plus 3300 equals 3800. 3800 milliliter is the normal value of inspiratory capacity. What is vital capacity?
Vital capacity is the volume of air that can be expired out fully after a deep inspiration. It includes inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, and tidal volume. That is 3300 plus 1000 plus 500 equals 4800 milliliter. What is functional residual volume?
It is the volume of air remaining in lungs after a normal expiration. It includes residual volume and expiratory reserve volume. That is 1000 plus 1200 equals 2200 milliliter.
What is total lung capacity?
Total lung capacity is the volume of air present in the lungs after a deep inspiration. That includes all the lung volumes. IRV plus TV plus ERV plus RV equals 3300 plus 500 plus 1000 plus 1200 equals 6000. That is the normal value of total lung capacity is 6000 milliliters or 6 liter.
We have finished 3 questions. Let's go for the last 5-mark question of 2012 physiology. The question is properties of synapse. What is a synapse?
Synapse is the junction between two nerve fibers. It is not an anatomical continuation, but it is only a physiological continuity between two nerve cells. What are the properties of synapse?
One-way conduction or Bell-Magendie law, synaptic delay, fatigue, summation, electrical property. One-way conduction or Bell-Magendie law. According to this law, the impulse are transmitted only in one direction, that is presynaptic neuron to postsynaptic neuron.
What is synaptic delay?
It is a short delay that occurs during the transmission of impulses through the synapse. Normal value of synaptic delay is 0.3 to 0.5 milliseconds. What is fatigue?
During continuous muscular activity, synapses become the seat of fatigue along with BET cells present in motor area of frontal lobe of cerebral cortex. Fatigue at synapse is due to the depletion of neurotransmitter subscribe, acetylcholine. Next property of synapse is summation. Summation is the fusion of effects or progressive increase in excitatory postsynaptic potential in postsynaptic neurons. There are 2 types of summation. They are spatial summation and temporal summation.
The last property of synapse is electrical property.
The electrical property of synapse are excitatory postsynaptic potential and inhibitory postsynaptic potential.
We completed all 5-mark questions of Physiology 2012 question paper.
Okay guys. See you tomorrow with new topics. Bye. Okay guys. Bye. Take care.